Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's GeneralTarheel, your coach at Charizards, bringing you the APA Season 3 Week 5 team build versus Coach Curt and the Adelaide Absols. Coming into Week 5, we did pick up our solid win last week, nice 6-0 versus Mewtwo fan Nate and the New York Noibats. Make sure to check that out if you haven't yet. It was a very solid battle. Now, we really want to continue that win streak and keep up the differential, trying to raise it as we're at plus 18 right now. Curt is a pretty solid battler. Unfortunately, he is 0-4 at the moment, but we're going to have to make him 0-5 as we continue our streak at 5-0, hopefully. So as for the matchup, I'm going to post it on the right there. As you see, he has Mega Gardevoir, Entei, Kyurem Black, Gliscor, Mesprit, Vaporeon, Chestnut, Magnezone, Muck, Spiritomb, and Shuckle. Now, just looking at his draft, his two Z users are Entei and Kyurem Black. Both very scary, more so Kyurem Black than Entei, because Entei mainly wants from Choice Band. And his team is awfully slow, like stupid slow. He does not exceed base 100. He drafted a team that relies too heavily on sticky webs with Shuckle, and Shuckle's not even that great of a sticky web mon. And he doesn't even have a rapid spin user to where if hazards really just blow him back, that just sucks for him, because he can't defog because he'll get rid of his own webs, which is really unfortunate. So Curt's a solid battler. I just don't think this draft is too strong. Sure, it has the Mega Guard, Kyurem Black core, and Entei's very powerful too, and Gliscor's just annoying mon. Vaporeon's good Wish Pass for some of these and stuff like that. Magnezone Steel Trapper for Kyurem Black and Mega Guard. Like, it looks like it has synergy, but in the end it just goes downhill from there. His speed is kind of lacking and stuff like that, so I definitely think we have the matchup here, even though Kyurem Black is still scary. Mega Gardevoir is definitely scary versus my team, but we'll make do with what we can. So, just looking at that, one thing I noticed first was our first team member, or we'll just go call him mascot, not team captain. We got the mascot Roku here, Mega Charizard X, Bulky D-Dance. This absolutely just wins. It just wins versus this team. It's that simple. If he lets me get a free +2, it's actually game. So the ideal version for this Mega Charizard is you see as Dragon Dance, Roost, Dragon Tail, Flare Blitz. Now, the reason I have Dragon Tail over Dragon Claw is because his main answer to Mega Charizard X should be a Roar defensive Vaporeon. That is the best counter. That should be his only counter. And the reasoning for Dragon Tail is that it has the same negative priority as Roar, and will always be faster than Vaporeon anyways. So as long as I get off the Dragon Tail, it will be before the Roar. Vaporeon switches out, and then it will hopefully come back in on Stealth Rocks or something like that later on, and then I still have a Charizard out with +1 attack. So that's the reasoning behind that. It's very scary for him to deal with. As for the investment, I do have calcs with me this time. This is before I faced Curt, so I actually have it fresh with me in my head, and I even took notes as well, so I can be a lot more informed for this team build. So for the attack investment in Mega Charizard X, after +1, Flare Blitz kills Gliscor after 2 Stealth Rock entries plus 1 turn of Poison Heal, which is very nice. And at +2, it knocks out most defensive variants of Gliscor after Stealth Rocks. Also at +1, we do knock out Entei after 2 Stealth Rock entries, which we're most likely going to try and enforce with the nice pivoting and talk specs, which you do see on the screen. And then +1 will also take out QB after 1 Life Orb hit if he's offensive. If he is bulky, we do knock out KB after Stealth Rocks. And +2 Dragon Tail will kill Vaporeon, or sorry, 2 +1 Dragon Tails will kill Vaporeon after 1 turn of Stealth Rocks, even after lefties. So Mega Charizard is doing a lot of just attack damage even if we don't maximize an attack. That's why you always need to look for bulk too, in my opinion, because with strong Pokemon like this, with their ability in Tough Claws, it's always going to have a massive damage output, and it's much more easier just to invest more into bulk for a Pokemon like this. And speaking of its bulk, with the investment I do live Earth Power from Max Special Attack Life Orb Kyurem Black. It does a max 97%, I believe. Stone Edge from Banded Entei does max 98, so I comfortably live both of those. Life Orb, I live EQ from +1. Sorry, I worded this weird on my notes. For Gliscor, I live its defensive Gliscor Earthquake after +1 Flare Blitz recoil. It does max 61 for his Earthquake, and I take a max 38% recoil on my +1 Flare Blitz. And then lastly, my speed investment on my Mega Charizard X is to creep him creeping on my max speed Togekiss. So like I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with the speed, so I just thought Gliscor might just have enough speed for max speed Togekiss if it's not enough speed for max speed Lando T. So I just opted to go that route and make sure I can of course I still easily outspeed his team after +1, but and I will outspeed Scarf Magnezone, and I will still be able to, what am I trying to say? Like I mentioned, hopefully still outspeed Gliscor at neutral if he did properly speed creep my Togekiss like I predict. And this is just my win con, like my main win con. I really just see it sweeping his team. It is such a great matchup. Of course, I do have to make sure I get the Stealth Rock damage off on Entei, or at least get a lot of Dragon Dances up versus other members of his team, just so I don't have to click Dragon Tail versus him and risk him having Banded Stone Edge to click my Charizard, which he most likely will. There's a chance he might just be carrying Bulldoze and not Stone Edge, but it's still a possibility, so I have to scout for it. So that's the reasoning behind Charizard X. Now we go into what I would like to call the captain of the team is Lando T. We have Hidden Power Ice, Earthquake, Flying Defog, of course with the Intimidate ability, and we are holding the Flyinium Z. Now this Lando set is pretty nice. For its attack, it has 4 in special attack, which actually matters because it 2-hit KOs most Gliscor variants with HP Ice, even after their Poison Heal. It is an 84% chance to 2-hit KO the standard Gliscor variant, or the Taunt Stallbreakers or something like that on the damage calc. And I really don't expect him to have that much special defense. I expect him to be HP defense and speed, so I should definitely be 2-hit KOing that Gliscor with Hidden Power Ice, which is very nice. Fly Z 100% knocks out Chestnut even if he's max defense. It does min 101. Fly Z also knocks out offensive KB after Stealth Rock damage, which is very solid. And Earthquake will always one-hit KO Entei, even if he does have the 52 HP investment, which I'm predicting in order for him to outspeed max speed Togekiss, even after, like with the Adamant speed and whatnot. And lastly, Earthquake plus Fly Z after Stealth Rocks in 2 turns of lefties should kill defensive Vaporeon. If he's max defense, it's kind of in his favor, but I really wouldn't expect him to be complete max, but he definitely could be. So we just have to watch out for that. And once again, the speed is the exact same as Charizard, where it creeps a corrupt max speed Togekiss. So Lando T just has pretty good checks to his what am I trying to say? Oh, I skipped his bulk. Lando T's bulk. It lives a modest Hyper Voice from Mega Guard after Stealth Rocks. And it lives a Ice Fang from an offensive Hyper Cutter Gliscor after Stealth Rocks. So that's just the main bulk. I just felt like to throw the rest in HP and whatnot, because I didn't need a lot of attack investment. I only needed the certain amount I put into Lando, so it worked out really well with the amount of bulk I could invest in. So Lando definitely just has a solid matchup versus defensive Pokemon, and if I can pressure that Vaporeon, then it really just wakens it for the Charizard to where I may just be able to, you know, sweep a lot easier than worrying about Dragon Tailing out and stuff like that. Basically, it just helps me pressure his team a lot. 2-hit KOing Gliscor, one-shotting Chestnut, dealing with Vaporeon pretty easily with Fly Z plus Earthquake like I mentioned. That's just his main defensive core is already gone. Like, it's just going to be so much easier to deal with. Fly Z also helps me for a possible Mesprit that could be annoying. I do have to bring Defog on Lando in order to give me a check to possible webs on Shuckle. So Lando T just puts in work. I don't like not having... Excuse me, sorry. I don't like not having U-turn on Landorus, but I definitely felt like it was needed for this game, so... Or sorry, I don't like not having U-turn on Lando, but these moves that I have for it were definitely needed. Definitely 5 move slot syndrome or whatever for Lando this week. So next up is Gren. I absolutely love this Gren set. I've been waiting to use it ever since I faced Jock in APA last season when I had the set, a similar set for Alamamala before I changed it. I had Substitute, Workup, Taunt, Dark Pulse, with leftovers and Torrent, of course. Now, Taunt Substitute might seem like it's overkill, but the reasoning for that is that I get to sub up, and Vaporeon never breaks my sub with Scald at with the 76 HP investment I have. and the taunt just ensures that it cannot roar me out, and then I get free workups versus it, and if he switches out, it's fine. I'm really not expecting Chestnut. There is a chance it comes just because it can deal with Lando apart from Fly Z, but I'm not really expecting Chestnut, so that's why I have Mono Dark Pulse, and that just does so well versus this team because Chestnut is the only resist. Sure, it would have been better to have like Scald or Ice Beam and stuff still, but I definitely needed that taunt and make sure Vaporeon couldn't roar me out. And even then, I can't get taunt up for other things later on if I really needed to. I just feel like this Mon gets a lot of free setup versus this team, and is definitely a threat because he just has no switch-ins afterwards. And the speed investment does allow me to outspeed a max speed Choice Scarf Magnezone, so that thing is not capable of breaking my sub up before I can, so I can always sub up on it if he does opt to Volt Switch versus me, like afterwards and whatnot. So we can definitely deal with the team very nicely with this Greninja set, and I really hope it puts in at least some work, hopefully just to weaken the team to where Charizard can clean up in the end if needed. Next up is Toxapex or Hama. Toxapex doing great this season with Bulk, and it's just going to get even better for this week, hopefully. I am bringing Black Sludge Regenerator with Block, Scald, Toxic Spikes, and Recover. Now, if you don't know what Block does, it does not allow them to switch out. Now, I'm going with Block over Infestation. The reasoning for that is Block never ends, but Infestation does. And I'd rather be able to make sure they can't switch out since I beat a decent amount of his Pokemon 1v1, that I just want to keep them in, and hopefully if I already had T-Spikes up on the field, that they're going to be harshly poisoned and it just wears them down even more. Basically, the defense investment I have with Block, or the reasoning for Block, is that I can also block Shuckle turn 1 if I see it. I want to lead Toxapex and try to keep it in to make sure he can never have a chance to get up those hazards versus me again. And then I can just scald him down and whatnot, get up T-Spikes versus him if I wanted to anyways. And then I can even, what am I trying to say? And then I can go into Lando, something gets poisoned on his team after I get those +2 T-Spikes up, and then I can defog with Lando if I really wanted to. Unless he goes in the Gliscor, then it'll be more of an issue, but at the same time, I'm getting rid of his Shuckle no matter what. Also, in most cases of a bulky Cure in Black, my Toxapex does 1v1 it with the proper investment I have, if he does get poisoned behind, or harshly poisoned behind sub. Other than that, it's just a very nice defensive counter to Entei. As well as it can take a few hits from Gliscor, it's not really doing anything to anything else. It's more here so just to take hits and maybe block one or few things, really just be a nice regen pivot if I really need to. More so that Entei just destroys my team otherwise, so I just need to watch out for that. And as for the bulk investment I have here for the Calcs, I live 2 Earthquakes from Gliscor after Stealth Rocks plus Black Sludge Recovery. Leftover Cure in Black, never 2 shots with Fusion Bolt or Earth Power if it is max special attack. He does 2-shot me with Life Orb if he is that variant, however. I live a Choice Band, Fusion Bolt from Cure in Black after Stealth Rocks if, just in case I can pivot out afterward and whatnot. If he's, because if I see if he's Choice Band, I can just go into Lando afterwards, and then I just get my health back. It's just to make sure I can live if I come in on something that dangerous. And I always live a Timid Psychic from Gardevoir. Once again, not ideal, but at the same time, you always have to be ready for everything with Toxapex at full, because Regen just allows it to be able to get it full and whatnot. And then, lastly, Choice Band Entei does not 2-hit KO Toxapex after Stealth Rock entry. So Toxapex does very well at walling Entei, it has no reason to dealing with it, and if he is a Ground Z Bulldoze Entei, he is doing max... Or Entei, did Entei get Stomping Tantrum? Crap. I think Entei got Stomping Tantrum. I think I just thought of that now. I might have to look into that before I battle Curt. But either way, if he is Bulldoze Ground Z, he's not doing more than 52% to my Toxapex. So that is nice because we just absolutely eat that and we just recover it off and then we just wall Entei from there on out. So that wouldn't be best for him if he does opt to do that. So Toxapex are really just here for the Entei, but it does do work otherwise, and hopefully getting up Toxic Spikes to really wear down his team. Because he also does not have that solid of defoggers. His main defogger is Gliscor, and by main I mean his only defogger is Gliscor, which is ridiculous. That's another reason Curt's draft was not that great in my opinion. I totally forgot about to say that at the initial matchup preview. So that's why Azards are going to be nice. I just didn't feel like bringing Spikes, but Toxic Spikes plus Stealth Rocks are all I need. Next up is Cobalion or Chief with the Shuckaberry. We have Stealth Rock, Iron Head, Close Combat, Taunt. Cobalion is a pretty decent matchup for him. I really just felt like it put in a decent amount of work, and it checked his offensive threats to Mega Gardevoir and Kyurem Black, which is really nice. Shucka, of course, does allow me to eat an Earth Power from the Kyurem Black, as well as take one from, take an Earthquake from Gliscor if I do feel like it is necessary to get off a taunt versus it. Small things like that. For the attack investment on Cobalion, we for sure KO Mega Gardevoir with Iron Head, even if he does like Speed Creep, Max Speed Lando, like I might be predicting. And we do 2 KO Entei with Close Combat, or basically kill it after 2 Stealth Rocks entries if we can pressure it with Toxapex pivoting on the Stealth Rock entries and whatnot. And Close Combat will also kill Kyurem Black after 1 Stealth Rock entry or 2 Life Orb recoil hits. And as for the bulk on Cobalion, nothing much. It's mainly just to live Timid Hyper Voice after Stealth Rocks on for Cobalion, or it's a roll from Modest Hyper Voice. It's a 12% chance in our favor to live, so definitely solid there. And the speed is just to make sure we can outspeed Max Speed Gardevoir in case he did want to speed tie with my Mega Charizard X, even though I don't really think that's the best idea for him, but just in case I opted to take that route. So Cobalion's really here just to come in case Kyurem Black or Mega Guard pick up a kill, and then I threaten him out. I do a decent amount of damage versus the team. I can predict taunt on their switching as well, to where Vaporeon could be locked in the Scald, and then I go into Greninja and get free setup. Or I can, you know, catch a taunt on the Chestnut coming in, and then I can go into Charizard X and just set up versus it. So taunt is definitely solid, even though Volt Switch seemed like would be a good momentum setter. Either way I can benefit from it. And then lastly, in order to help us versus special attackers once again, is Electros. Now, I was debating with my front office and whatnot whether or not I should make this Piloswine, but I still felt like Electros was better for me. Even though Gardevoir still does stupid damage versus Electros, we are Assault Vest with Knockoff, Flamethrower, Volt Switch, Dragon Pulse, and with the investment we have, we do live 2 Modest Hyper Voices from full, and we do live 2 Timid Hyper Voices after 1 entry of Stealth Rocks. So, even though it's not ideal, at least we get possible Volt Switch momentum out of it, or if he hasn't sent out Gliscor yet, it's a free knockoff, and it gets a lot of damage off versus the Gardevoir, and if he switches into Gliscor, we can get rid of its Toxic Orb, and then we don't have to deal with that, which is very nice. Or he could be Scarf Gliscor this matchup as well with Hyper Cutter, which Jock was predicting, which is definitely a possibility, so that would be nice getting rid of that as well. And also with the bulk, we do live 2 Earth Powers from a Max Special Attack Life Orb Kyurem Black, which is pretty ridiculous, honestly. Of course, because even though we do have Levitate, Kyurem Black does have Terrible, which is basically Mold Breaker, ignoring our ability, which is kind of sucky, but at the same time, it's fine. And I did have 44 in Special Attack for initially breaking offensive Kyurem Black sub with Flamethrower, but if he's bulky, I still wanted to run Dragon Pulse, so I switched that out for Hidden Power Ice, I believe I had initially. But so I just kept the 44 in Special Attack there. Defense also just helps me a little bit versus Kyurem Black if it was more offensive, as well as Psyshock from Mega Gardevoir, which we have a chance of living to from Timid Psyshock from Gardevoir. But the Special Attack doesn't really go towards anything. If anything, it just gets me off a little bit more damage versus some of his Pokemon, and that's just about it. So that will do it for the team build for this week. I really hope you enjoy the more in-depth with all my calcs and whatnot, because I do like to go in on calcs if I can, if it seems like really necessary. And versus a team with Kyurem Black and Mega Guard, I felt like it was very much needed, and I just want to bring the best team possible versus Curt to really abuse his very slow team and poor removal and not just relying on webs. Like, I just want to capitalize on the flaws in his team, and bringing the very best team with the proper EVs and whatnot will definitely set that up very well. Now, please don't think I'm trying to like diss Curt for his draft and whatnot. If he loves it, that's him. I just don't see the best thing in it, and it's not working for him as he's going 0-4. But hopefully he can turn around soon enough. But hopefully not versus us when we do battle him tomorrow. So make sure to check that out, and make sure to check my P4G for this week if you haven't already, as we did take on Coach aAron 2420 and the Calgary Infernapes. And that'll be it from me. So make sure to sub, like, share, deuces.